Hello, my name is Linda Shum from Chinese Orphans Assistance Team, and this is a story that is very close to my heart. A number of years ago, the police brought in some identical twins. It was hard to tell their age, but I guesstimated they were about 11. Their mother had apparently killed herself, and the father was so upset he drove off on his bike, and the boys thought they were abandoned. He'd left them with their grandmother, but she could not control them. One of the problems was they did not speak any language except twin speak. They kept running away, and one day they went too far and couldn't work out how to get back. The police picked them up, and of course they had no language to tell the police who they were or where they were from, so the police brought them into the welfare home. They kept running away to try and find their father, and this wasn't a safe thing to do. So the orphanage officials asked if the boys could come and live in our Eagle's Wings foster homes. Well, they're all in the same building. We have a policy that we never say no to a child, no matter how confronting or difficult they are. The orphanage is a huge building, and these boys kept running off and hiding. They could not get out the gate because of the compound. They could not get out the gate of the compound because there's a guy there full time. So they would just hide. They were very sad little boys because there was a very little they understood of what we said. They were testing us to the limit. One day, ZhuoWen went up onto the roof, which is the 11th floor of the building, and his intention was to jump off and end it all like his mother had done. Fortunately, his ayi had run after him, and just before he jumped, she grabbed him around the waist and pulled him back. At that time, I was working in the office on the 9th floor, so she brought him to the office and said she did not know what to do with him. I took his hand and pulled him into my lap, and he, as big as he was, I let him sit there while I hugged him. So that was the first day I began to get close to them. I spoke softly to him as he sat there, and I told him that if he wanted to find his father, he must wait until his father comes to see if he's in the orphanage. I said if he killed himself, his father would be extremely sad, and his brother ZhuoWu would be all alone. I told him that I would be his grandmother for now, with the understanding of how much I love him and his brother. Love changes things. His brother was in a different Eagle's Wings home, and they were separated, and we know that twins don't cope well if they are separated. I promised him that if he could live with me for a week in the same apartment where ZhuoWu was, and actually they could be together if he was well behaved. So for the next week, I joined him to my hip. He slept on my couch, and wherever I went, he went with me. I did not let him go to school, but all day for that week, I would set him up near my desk and supervise his learning. They had never been to school before, so the discipline of sitting and learning in a classroom was very difficult for them. It was the beginning of a beautiful relationship of these two boys, our staff, and me. One of the things that helped heal ZhuoWen was our dog, Fan. I had brought Fan from Australia, and he lived with us in my apartment. The children living there loved this dog, but the dog really loved ZhuoWen. They played beautifully together, and if I said it was time for bed, the dog would sneak in, get under ZhuoWen's quilt, and a fun wrestling match followed. For that week, the dog slept with the boy. But before sleep came wrestling. Quite often, the head of the boy would be on the pillow next to the head of the dog, and both would be sound asleep. Both the boys began to thrive. They joined in with the other children, and although I was not supposed to take them to church, I was not going to leave them for that week, so I took them both to church with me. I didn't realise they had a children's church at this church. It's a government-run church, so it was quite legal for children over 18, but under 18 they should not be there. But they asked me if the boys would like to go, and I still wasn't game to leave them, so I went with them. They joined in the dancing to Christian music. Then they had to sit in the classroom and listen to a teacher. The teacher asked me who they were, and I told her. Immediately she got the children in the class to bow their heads and pray for these two boys. Love changes things. And between the dog and the prayer of these children, our staff and me, these wild children began to be tamed. They learned to sit in the classroom of our school, and they began to learn. First of all, they learned Chinese so they could communicate with us. They enjoyed being clean, with clean clothes and good quality shoes. They enjoyed the food, and they ate really good nutrition. They began to grow and develop. We suspected their diet had been grossly inadequate before they came to us, and that is why they had not grown. But they grew tall and handsome. They learned to ride bikes and play basketball and enjoy excursions, finding out about the world they live in. They were still searching for their father. And one day, they used their allowance to catch a train in the direction they thought their father lived. They had no idea of the name of their village, where they had come from. Fortunately, they did not find the place, and they were able to catch a train back. ZhuoWen told them that maybe if they go to the police station and see if their father had registered that they were missing. At the police station, the police person looked up in the database, and sure enough, there were photos of them as very small boys, but it was definitely them. The father was contacted, and he came straight away to be reunited with his sons. They went for a holiday for 2 weeks with their father. Their father was extremely poor, and although they loved him and he loved them, they decided they could come back and continue their schooling with us for a little bit longer. So they would visit their father often, and they continued their education until they turned 18. Then, instead of going to the adult facility, they were very proudly able to go home with their father. They had jobs in the village, and they have a home. Acting out the Chinese character. Well, that was a bit of a disaster. Acting out Tom, the character Tom.